see how much you guys know. Where's the rest of my slides, Trenton? Oh, one at a time. Oh, because we put it on. Okay. So this is, anybody seen these ones? Recognize them? They're by an artist named Cliff Garton, and this is out Moffett Towers, out at the backside off of 8th Street, Enterprise Way. It's a 55-acre development, and what he did was made a huge outdoor sculptural environment that consists of seating, tables. It consists of granite composite walkways. It has lighting, these great bronze handmade lights. And in front of every plaza at the beginning of the building, he has a series of these little water fountain sculptures along with benches in front of all 6 buildings. Each plaza has one. And then he has these 2 huge, like, they must be 16 feet, 15 to 16 feet tall sculptures that are kind of marking the front entrance to one of the main buildings. And so he has made this whole environment that you can just go out there and walk around through, and everywhere you turn, you're going to find a piece of artwork. So it's kind of fun. And
where is it? Say it again.
It's Enterprise Way. It's called Moffett Towers. So it's out on the backside of Sunnyvale, right next to Moffett Field, basically. Yeah, off 237 in Moffett Field. So. Yeah, it's kind of off the beaten path, but if you go out, but it's worth going out there just for a walk and a picnic or what have you. Yeah. Okay, how about this one? Even Trenton figured this one out.
This is a really tricky one, though.
It is a little bit tricky.
Looks like one of the heritage houses.
No. Give you a hint, it's along a major thoroughfare.
No.
This is at Belmont Assisted Living on El Camino Real at Henderson. And this artist is named Naveed Gadami, and he did a series, he did 26 individual railings. Each one has a different scene on it, and they're all about the missions along the El Camino Real throughout the state. So there's 21 missions total, so 21 of them are represented more than once. There's 26 of these, so the next time you go by and you're sitting at the stoplight, look up. It's actually kind of fun. Nobody knows where this is?
No. I didn't know.
Is it art?
Yeah. It's right across the street from. Right across the street from this guy. At Yahoo headquarters. Yahoo? Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry about that.
What is the meaning of that?
So this is an artist, Brian Gogan is his name. He's from San Francisco. Some of you, when you're driving into San Francisco, and I think it's 4th Street, but if you look up on the building, there's these chairs, like pianos climbing up. It's the same artist.
Oh.
So it's the same artist. And so what he did was he did a series of doors. And there's 5 of them total. They're all made out of bronze. Each one is different. And each one is modeled after a door he found while he was traveling throughout the world. And so he came back. Some of the doors are like this big, some are this big. They're all open, and they're meant to be walked around and walked through. And very interactive. And so there's 5 of them total. He calls it the Labyrinth, and it was installed in 2003.
What's on the top?
That's just the tree sticking over the top of there. Yeah.
The tree behind it.
Yeah. But so it's kind of interesting to go out there and just kind of wander through. Another question?
Where was it?
This is on Matilda at 1st Avenue, basically. I think it's 1st and 5th, between 1st and 5th.
Where is that? North of 237?
Across from Yahoo.
Yeah, it's actually Yahoo campus.
Yeah.
It's on the grass.
So are all 5 doors at that location?
Yeah, they're all together, and then next to them is another piece, and then there's also a water cube across the way. So they did three works of art for that project. That was a big project. I think it was a $500,000 project in 2003. So that was pretty substantial. Well, this came up 2 at a time, but okay. Okay, this will give you time to think. This 2013. It's on Washington, correct. It's called
Solstice.
Tools of Technology, and it's by Eric Powell, and it's actually at the Solstice apartment. So remember when I was saying that some of the mixed-use projects end up not having real big budgets for artwork? So they kind of got around this one a little bit by doing this. They decided to do this railing, and as they were getting into it, the budget just kept going up, and they just kept tripling it and adding things to it because the property owners got so excited about how this was going to turn out. And it came out really neat. So it's a seating area at a restaurant now. So when you go downtown, I don't know what,
Washington, like a taste?
Washington right across from Macy's. Yeah, I don't know what restaurant it is though.
Nom Burger and
Is that what it is?
Prolific Prolific, yes.
Yeah, so have you sat in the,
Yeah.
there you go. I like to hear that. Okay, what about this one, anybody?
Is that NetApp?
No, it's not NetApp, but you're going in the right direction. It's, so it is, on Mod in front of the LinkedIn. Yeah, in front of the LinkedIn campus, and it's an artist named Albert Wabara, and this was an early project I worked on back in 2000. And since then, this guy is really popular, I gotta tell you. They've had, that headquarters has had a lot of people at Hewlett Packard, it's had Palm Pilot, it's also had LinkedIn. One day I went driving by, and there was a Palm Pilot up here in his hand. Big cardboard, that they had to get a crane in there to put it on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was no easy feat.
Does it have a name?
He is called Reaching for the Stars. And just recently when I went back out there, he had a big LinkedIn necklace on.
Reaching for his palm.
So he's kind of fun. He's been around for a while though. This one, anybody?
I've seen it.
Toyota dealership on El Camino Real. So they were required because they were over 2 acres, but also because they were on main thoroughfare. This is an artist named Brad Howe out of LA. 2004, he put that in, and it's called Two Orbits. I think he was playing off the Toyota logo a little bit and off the tires. And then this one, it's called Receiver. It's by Dan Winterich. 2011, it's out on Benicia. Do you know where that is? It's right next to the golf course. The Sunnyvale Muni Golf Course. It's like maybe, I don't know, 50 feet down or so, but it's close to that. So that's all, those are all art and private development projects, which means they're all on private property, they're all maintained by the developer or the property owner. Art in public places, as Trenton was saying, is the other way that we get artwork here into this city, and that is public funds. And the artwork is placed on public property or municipal facilities, and it's maintained by the city of Sunnyvale, the Community Services Department, which is basically me. I actually physically get out there and clean these things. So they can be, the works can be either interior or exterior for this program, because if it's a public facility like a library or community center, the public has access to that. So we do allow interior artwork on this one. Anything that's purchased through this program is going to end up in the permanent collection and again be maintained by the city of Sunnyvale. But in 2004, council went back and adopted a 1% expenditure. So we were requiring the private developers to spend 1% on public art, but we weren't doing that for our own projects. So we went back and we amended the ordinance to make that happen. So now when you see some of these capital projects come through, there's 1% of the budget set aside specifically for artwork. So that'll be big coming up because we haven't had a lot going on because of the economic downturn since this was adopted 10 years ago, however long it was now. But we expect a lot more coming up with the Civic Center project, with the branch library down in Lakewood. We have an infrastructure project here at the community center coming up that will have a small budget with it. Lots of park projects that are coming up, all of those types of things. And then prior to 2004, The artwork was purchased through not only capital improvement projects, although the 1% expenditure didn't exist, so it was really kind of like pulling teeth to get Public Works to give us any of their budget. But we did at one point in time have a master plan from, let's see, it was 1983 to 1992. There was a master plan where they set aside money for 20 years and identified specific locations and specific amounts for each location, and a lot of the artwork that you see in the city now was based out of that program. That was in 1992. They shut it down and took away the funding because of budget cuts. But we also get donations. The city has a gifts and loan policy, so we do take donations. There's been purchase awards through the years through like the Sunnyvale Art Club or the Sunnyvale Photo Club, City Council at times, and then operating budgets. We tend to do what we can where we can, and sometimes we can pull something out of an operating budget. So this was part of a capital improvement project. Anybody?
Plaza del Sol.
Plaza del Sol. This is our apple. There's 4 fruit. It's called Fruit Gigantica. Gerald Heffernan is the artist, and that was back in 2002. And then this one, this isn't the whole piece. This is a detail. Does anybody recognize it?
There's water behind it.
It's actually sky behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it the window of the library?
it's the window in the library by Elizabeth Devereaux. Yeah, and this was one of the pieces that I was saying that was a location that was identified and money was identified for that location, and this was a project that they did, so this was part of that original master plan for public art.
What's the name of that piece?
It's called Allegorical Landscape, and it was installed in 1991. So as I was kind of saying, future public art projects are going to be funded through the Public Art Fund, which is where the in lieu fees from the property developers go. That's where it gets deposited for us to spend at a later date. The 1% requirement through our capital improvement projects. And any of the art in public places projects go through the Arts Commission for review, but they require council approval also. So there's an extra layer of review in there that we don't have with the private developers. This piece, anybody? Seven Seas Park. It's a new one, 2015. This was a great project to work on.
Where is it?
Seven Seas Park.
Where's that?
It's out on Morse and
Waddell.
Waddell, thank you. Anyway, it's a new park that the city did, and so their 1% expenditure kicked in on that one. It wasn't a real big budget. It was only about $30,000. This is a husband and wife team named Art Ecletica, and he's a sculptor and an engineer, and she's a painter. And so they did this under the sea theme. So underneath the soffit here on the umbrella is all painted with mythical sea creatures and all kinds of neat stuff, and then you can sit on the benches, and so it's all mosaic and found objects and colored cement. And this, where it resides now, is actually the 3rd location we had for it. The first location, when we went out there and looked at it, we went, wait a minute, this grate, what are we gonna do with this grate here? The contractor had installed a grate. So then we found location 2 and then realized that wasn't gonna work with the mowers through parks. And so now we're in location 3, but it actually turned out, I think, to be the best location. We were kind of forced into it, but it was a good one. Yeah, so if you ever get out there, it's also has lights that are solar, so at night you could actually sit on it. And I don't know if they're strong enough to read a book, but you could try. And everything that we purchased or we acquire through the private development program, again, goes into the city's permanent collection, which has 62 works of art, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional. And it's maintained through the Community Services Division, which is basically me. So I do all the 2-dimensional cleaning. My assistant and I, we go out there and we actually take our Windex and our plastic cleaner and dust everything off and straighten them all. But the big stuff that you see, like the bronze statues or the community center pond, all of those we bring a conservator in once a year to properly maintain them so that they don't start to disintegrate, which is a problem that a lot of cities have with their permanent collections because they don't have separate budgets for maintaining. They just tend to wait until it starts to fall apart and then fix it. So we're lucky here to be able to maintain our artwork and keep it up. So, anybody recognize this one up here? So, Lakewood Park, it's on the basketball court, and it was installed back in 1991. It's an artist named Roberta Salas, and it's painted. It's tempera paint, and it was installed in 1991, and for 20 years we really didn't have any problems with it, like no graffiti. Once in a while we'd see little initials with a pen, or one of the kids had carved something because it's right there next to Lakewood School. And then all of a sudden one day it got tagged pretty good, so we had to go back and fix it. But we felt pretty lucky for 20 years that it made it unscathed, right? So we had the artist come back up and do it, but as he was starting to paint, we realized, oh, the paint's faded. It really wasn't gonna look good just to touch it up. So we had him kind of redo the whole thing. So he was out there for 2 or 3 days with scaffolding, and all of those squares were painted by people in the neighborhood and the community. And he had a guy come up to him and say, hey, I totally remember when we did this back in 1991. I was, 13 years old, this grown man. And he said, that was my square right there. And the artist was like, see, this is why we do this stuff. And I said, yeah, that's it right there. So in this one, everybody knows.
Library.
Yes.
Yeah, but do you know what's written in the book?
I don't know if I do.
Do you know what language it's written in?
Oh, that I don't. Do you? Oh, is it written in Spanish?
Yes, it's written in Spanish.
I've never stopped to read the book, to be honest with you. I just go by and like brush off whatever's on it.
What is the name of the book?
The name of the piece is Out to Lunch. And it was purchased in 1985. It was the second artwork through the master plan that was ever purchased for the city.
That statue is in a mall in Georgetown, Washington, D.C.
Yeah, this is J. Seward Johnson. He's well known for a lot of his statues, and he does more than one of his designs, for sure. And then this bicycle rack.
Public safety.
Yes, it is at public safety now. It's called Mass Transit, and in 1996, and it's meant to be a real bike rack, by the way.
Yeah.
So in 1996, the Parks Department came to me and they said, hey, we've got this grant, we can put some artwork in, somewhere. And so he said, I really like this piece. Can you see if you can find me one by this artist? And so we did. We brought it in, we put it at the community center, right in front of the Creative Arts Center, across from the theater, right outside my office windows. And the seats are about this high. Well, that's where the buses come up, to drop off 250 kids a day for the theater. And the kids love to climb on it. And eventually we realized parents were putting toddlers up there and then standing back and taking pictures. And it just became such a liability that we thought we really need to move it someplace a little bit lower key. So that's when we took it over to public safety, where they still have kids climbing on it, but not 250 a day.